Once I heard that trust is a two-way street. If somebody is asking you to trust that person, it's because you have already the trust of that person. That person trusts you already. Today, this parable, for somebody who is new in the Christian belief, could be somehow challenging, even puzzling. On one hand, today's gospel seems to justify not fair practices with regard to labor. It seems that when talking about wages, there is an arbitrary practice not paying the laborers according to what they actually have done. On the other hand, it's about trust. How much do we trust God? Again, this parable could be challenging for those who are new in reading the gospel, or for those who take the Bible as a piece of literature, because it sets the dilemma on fair wages for the workers, for the laborers. But this parable is intended to make one point. Today we are not talking about wages. We are not talking about salaries or the accumulation of wealth. Today we need our Christian common sense and reason, and the help of other parables to understand fully the parable we just listened to. Looking closely to the laborers mentioned in this parable, in the end are paid the same, a full day's wages despite when they started to work. The workers, the laborers are us, the believers, the ones who are Catholic from the cradle, or those who have journeyed through the RCIA. No matter at what stage of our life God came to us and we were introduced to this faith, what is important is our faith. That we have become salt of the earth and light of the world, and the Lord has put his trust in each and every one of us. We have received strength and grace from God. We have to begin with that one. It is God who called us to work for him, to labor for him. God selflessly and freely gave us his gifts of grace and strength to each and every one of us. Even though if at the end of the day we created ourselves for that gift, but it is God, the one who gave us that gift. We have turned to God at one point of our lives, and we have accepted his call. Thus, we are gathered around this table. We have accepted our own conversion, and we have opened ourselves to God's boundless gifts. At this point of accepting God's gifts, we have to recognize that there are different kinds of fervor among the believers. There are some nuances in the expression of our faith, and God for sure recognizes that. So, for example, let us put St. Rose of Lima, whose memorial we celebrate today. She expressed her faith completely different than any woman of her age and time. She realized that the beauty of her soul was something she needed to enhance, to improve. Thus, even though she was externally beautiful, she worked in order to make her soul pleasant to God. It is like many of us, as Archbishop Sheen said, who fast for the sake of losing weight, because we love our body, we love this tangible reality, whereas the true Christian fasting is for the beauty of our souls, because we love ourselves and look forward to please and love God with our fasting. Many of us are still at the stage of loving the tangible. And we don't realize that the Lord is calling us to receive a greater wage, that he has trusted already with calling us. So today, let us not waste time in saying whether we were called earlier or later, but let us eagerly respond to God's call, to trust Him, to preserve the faith and the strength and the grace that God has placed in our lives already.